Bat Force Radio.
Bat Force Radio is rated M for mature, or should that be immature?
Hey guys, Dustin Wynn.
Hey, this is Scott Snyder.
This is Paul Dini.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
You're listening to Bat Force Radio.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, and you're listening to Bat Force Radio, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to Bat Force Radio, the Batman and DC podcast with no limits. Tonight will be a sequel of sorts to an episode from around 2 years ago. Joining us tonight is Bat Force Tom in California.
Hey.
And I'm Robin Cross in Canada. So a couple years back, we were joined by one of the creators and stars of Batman the Fan series. After some pretty heavy personal issues that put the future of the series into jeopardy, and for a while, I think it was just canceled. They are getting back to work on a second episode, and returning to talk about it is Matt Zeiss. How you doing, Matt?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me again, man. I figured it was fun to have the conversation, and it would be cool to put it out there. By the way, on the intro, did you really get Kevin Conroy to say that?
Absolutely.
That is cool as hell. Oh my God. I'm like, in my as it's going, I'm like, is that really him? Like, oh my God, that's sick.
Yeah, we've been lucky to get a bunch of cool people in there, and I don't know if anyone ever even knows about this, but that intro song that we use at the beginning of every episode, that came from our own Grandpa Batman.
Really?
But he's not here, so screw him. But like I said, it's been a couple of years now since that first episode came out. And, aside from we all are just coming out the other end of the world. Sure. You guys had some other stuff of your own going on. Like you personally had some major stuff go on.
Yeah, man. I personally, it was a bad couple of years where it just, as fun and great as this was, and we wanted to continue it and stuff, it just became to the point where our lives were just taken over way too much, where in bad ways. Like I said, I had a stroke in July of 2019. That kind of started things on downhill, just really was bad. Then right after that, Powell, our special effects designer, who's awesome, he passed away. I found that out from another guy. I didn't even know. He hadn't gotten back to me in a while. I was like, I guess he's just busy. And somebody finally reached out to me on, he lived in the Ukraine, so I had no real other way of getting in touch. It was usually via email or one of the two. We never spoke on the phone, but he passed away. I don't know of what, because it's so hard to communicate, and the other person is his brother, and I don't really feel that it's right to ask. I feel like just let that be their personal business. But I was like that, so it was just like, this wasn't worth it. And then on top of it, obviously, everything that's happened in the last year for everybody, but we had already made the decision kind of before then, and then things were just continuing. Once I found out Powell passed away, I'm like, I can't. What's the point? You know what I mean? That'd be silly. But I started reading through comments on YouTube that kind of helped re-inspire me, because some of the people were really complimentary, and it was awesome just to see how well received it was by so many people. And I was like, you know what? I'd like to put it out there for even more people. And I know more people would have wanted to watch it had it continued, but it didn't really go anywhere, I think it could have picked up steam, and it really inspired me to be like, you know what? Screw this. Let's do it. Let's let's not make the first one in vain at the very least.
Yeah, and with how much groundwork you built in the first episode, you had the cowl and the suit, and you got all the actors in place and everything. Imagine it all being for the first episode and then quitting there.
Yeah, I tried to lay a lot of groundwork with everybody else. We put a lot of time into it, and I would have loved to take it to the place where we're trying to take it now. It's still, I want to at least give fans the reveal of the costume. How far we can take it after that, I don't know, but I feel like if I was a fan, because the way I described it was always a fan series by fans, because I'm a huge Batman fan in the first place. So for me, wow, my hand looks super huge because it's close to the camera.
I thought you just had a big hand. I wasn't going to comment.
Well, let
You
me
know what they
tell
say
you a
about guys with
separate
big
story
hands.
then, bro. No, does this go out with the video too? I feel like it should.
It'll be I think video on YouTube, right?
Well, now.
Yeah, now it's
Yeah,
gonna
it's
have
got
to
to,
be.
bro.
If you're flopping out that big hand.
Yeah, and then it made me realize how big my knee must look, so I put that down too. I was like, all right, this is probably the best proportion. Right now it makes my head look small, which is great because it brings us back to what we were before the call. We were saying about our big heads, dude. I just had this conversation. So I used to do Elvis impersonations, and because I love Elvis and Batman, dude, that's my hybrid. And I was getting fitted for a wig, and the wig maker, as he's measuring my head, this is what this guy does for a living. And he's like, you have an exceptionally large skull. And he looked at my head. and my buddies were dying laughing. I had two buddies, and just they were hysterical laughing. And I'm like, I know, man, I know. And getting hats. I remember being like 5 years old on Little League, and everybody gets a hat. And mine wouldn't fit on the biggest, and I had to switch with a coach, a grown-ass man at like 6 years old, just to have a hat that fit my watermelon dome. So I get it, man. It's tough. It's tough out there.
Yeah, dude. Got a big water head, big old juicy watermelon head, man.
But your head's far away from the camera, so it doesn't look quite so big as your knee. But no ideas about taking your shorts off. This isn't that kind of show anymore.
I'm not even I'm not at the right. I'd be at the wrong angle. Every couple minutes, you'd be catching a little something. You'd be like, maybe we won't make this a video. Anyway, I feel like, where do we end off? I forget what subject we were talking about.
I don't know. Big heads.
Big heads came out for sure. So yeah, man, the after the downfall, when we decided to keep this going, I was like, I wanted to try to pick up some steam. That's why I was really glad you guys were cool to have me on again to just talk about it, because I felt like that was the best way, because a bunch of fans fell off too. And I get that too. We had nothing. There was no content there. You know what I mean? What was anybody sticking on for? Oh, I think that's what I was saying. I want to see this from a fan's point of view, where if I was watching, I would at least have wanted to see the Batman reveal, to see where you guys were going. Because if we can catch some momentum with it and just get people, it gives us something to watch and something to really enjoy as Batman fans. I would love a Batman series. So I'm like, let me make a Batman series just because I want to see it. You know what I mean? And that's purely what it is. I want to see a Batman series. No one's doing it. Let me just try to show people what it might be like if it were done, for my amusement and theirs. And I'm trying to do it super. I have my own personal preferences of Batman mythology and how I would like the story to be, little tweaks here and there. And that's kind of what it is. It's my version of what I think Batman should be. Sometimes it crosses with, I try to honor all mythologies a little bit, but still go with what I like. And that's like the early 1940s Batman. That's my favorite.
And for anyone who may not have seen the first episode yet, which hopefully you're going to go check it out right now, but for anyone who hasn't seen it, you are Batman in the series.
I am. You know what? And that's selfish, is what that is. Because
well, if you have the chance to be Batman, you fucking be Batman.
Exactly, and that's exactly what it was. I'm like, I mean, every inch of my soul would hurt if I made this and I wasn't Batman. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be wanting to be him the whole time. So I was like, basically, I mean, the worst part of this all is that you basically have to force yourself to the gym. So I was like, for me, I'm lazy as hell. And I'm just like, but I want to see this done. I want to see it look right, done right. And I got to play Batman. Why would I cast somebody else? But, again, it was one of those things too. It's more so, honestly, though, all joking aside, it's less selfish than it sounds too, because I know what I want out of that character. As a director, I can genuinely separate myself as well. Listen, if I knew somebody personally, if I wanted to go out there and find somebody, I'm sure I could find an actor to fit the bill. But for many reasons, I chose myself, and that's because I know exactly what I want to try to get out of the character. I know exactly what I want to portray, and I would cast myself as a director. If I could be like, hey, can you get in some shape? Be like, yeah. Can you act? Yeah. Okay, then you'll work out just fine for this character. Honestly, though, but it's the other people that are super freaking cool that I thought were so accurate for the role. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you guys were a fan, and you don't have to say it if you don't if you don't think so. As a fan, I loved our Alfred. That was Carl is probably one of my he's my favorite person for in the show and on the show. I'm like, this guy looks like he's out of the comic book. It made me so giddy sitting in the bat chair looking up at him the whole time. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the bat cave next to Alfred. This is sick.
Yeah, you guys did nail it with the casting, and you had a Gordon too, right?
I did, yeah. Adam Ginsberg. Now he moved down to Nashville, and he's actually filming down there with his son for this season because being where fan budget is, it makes more sense to do that than have them come up here or have us go down there. His son just went to school for cinematography, and I'm sure I'm leaving subjects out. I'm sure he went for other things too. He's like, dude, I'm a biologist. No, but I'm pretty sure he went to school for that. And
went to party.
yeah, party. Yeah, but they moved down there and they're starting up their own. It's called, I think it's Twitch Productions, and I think he's had that for a while. But he got a nice setup. He's gonna build a business down there, and I was glad he was still able to make this happen with his studio that he's having with his son. They're going to film a Gordon scene down there. It doesn't really require any Bruce or Batman or Alfred scenes. So the fact that we weren't in it means, okay, well, as long as the person, James Morano, who's filming our side of things, talks with Addison on the other side of things, they can communicate and make sure Addison, matches as best as he can to what James is going to film up here. But Adam, he originally... I had this idea of making a Batman film ever since high school when I first saw Batman Dead End. So when we first I wanted to make one back in high school called, it was before Gotham came out, and I wrote a very vague idea of a show called Gotham Horror that I wanted to put out, almost like Smallville meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer, about, so a little bit older than Gotham years. I thought you could have gotten more drama out of that, but then as I got older, the idea got older, and we started with, it was going to be Batman Awakened, and the guy, Adam, who's playing Gordon, he was originally going to play the Joker if we did Awakened, and as the project moved forward, it hit me, I was like, you know what, actually, this image would be better for Gordon, this image would be better for if we did a Joker. Because once he had the mustache on, I saw a picture of him, like, actually, he'd make a great Gordon. And he was on this project. The second I told him about it, he was so on. He's like, I want to be part of this. I'll do whatever. This is awesome. Like, let's make something Batman style. And at the time, I missed out on shooting, and it would have been great. There was a laser tag, I think it was, that it was like zombie apocalypse laser tag. And they had the entire inside looked like something out of the slums of Gotham. And it was so well built and set up. And we had talked with them at the time. They were going to let us film there and everything. And it was so cool. They had a prison wing, which was sick. But they unfortunately closed down. And we missed that opportunity. But that sounds whiny if they lost their business. So hopefully they just decided to close. But yeah, and so then when we came back on for this, Adam, the second time, everyone wanted this. All the actors were enjoying themselves. They wanted to see it continue as well because they know it would have been fun. And the fact that everything's back up and running kind of got everybody's juices going again.
Yeah, it's lucky that you guys. I was going to ask if any of the production had to like significantly change due to people like moving. I mean, the last year, illness and stuff like that. So it's cool, at least, that everyone who was, for the most part, involved is willing to come back and get back on the horse with you. So that's awesome, man. What is with that time off that you had? Like, is there anything that you thought about, like, or maybe fleshed out better in your mind that you maybe didn't have time to think about? And now that you have that time, you're like, all right, this is what I'm going to do this time.
Absolutely, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Well, we wanted to improve the overall look, make it something even more cinematic. That's for starters. Last one, everything obviously, to me, it still looks great, but I'd just like it to be a touch better. I think technology in regards to people having, a lot of more people accessible to higher quality cameras, if that makes sense. It was only a couple years, but I feel like, some people got, what I'm saying? It's just an equipment thing, equipment change. So we knew we were going to be able to get a better product, and as well as the scene. So there's a scene, it's not giving anything necessarily away. We're going in a very organic way, a pure way to tell the story. As a fan, I want to see on screen. And again, I write this as a fan. Like, what would I want to see? And I don't care how many books, redo it. It's always fun to read. It's always fun to look at with Bruce's, awakening of what he wants to be. His moment, his Omen moment. That's hard to say. That's his Omen moment. But yeah, no, I want to see that. And then we had already filmed that scene at a prior location that had misadvertised themselves, visually speaking. And it was unfortunate, but it was what it was. So we already filmed it, and I consider it a recorded rehearsal. I don't even have that video anymore, unfortunately. And I would like to find it somewhere. It's got to be someplace, but it just wasn't as good. And I knew, scrap it. Like, it's crap, It was the room was too tight. The room was so tight that you didn't believe this was Bruce Wayne. There's a clip of it, a very quick clip of it in the trailer. You'll see me in a robe in a mirror, and it's just not a very big room. And my robe was just a regular robe, and I was just like, if I need to have, Bruce Wayne needs to have a luxury robe. So this time we have Daniel doing. I don't know. I've never asked him. It's either doing or doing, and I'm guessing it's doing. So,
doing may be funner to say.
Yeah, I'm sure people probably did that, right? This high school thing. What's up, doing? Screw you guys! It's doing, and you know it. But he's making this beautiful smoking jacket robe because, to me, that's what I see Bruce wearing. I know in the very first appearance of that scene, you can sense that he is wearing some sort of robe. Whether it's a smoking jacket robe or a silk robe, we may never know.
Yeah, and it's probably old and like super expensive. Maybe it was like his grandfather's or his great grandfather's. And
absolutely. Well, I was thinking it could have been his dad's because James is putting a nice W on the pocket that everyone will see. And it's just it's like a crestly kind of W, where it looks beautiful. He's getting that embroidered as we speak because we're filming that scene again in August at this beautiful spot from a photographer, and I found him on Splacer. This guy Andrew, incredible, really cool spot, really cool spot, and he's actually getting rid of it at the end of August, like 3 days after we're using it. And that's unfortunate. So if this thing takes off, we're going to either have to see if those other people still use the space and leave it like it is, or we'll find a different room to film in for episode 3. Because we're going to make it probably like a safe house, not necessarily his home. Because to me, that also makes more sense as a character. That as a character, he would, he can have a hub location, but as a guy in his 30s in the brink of it, wants to see crime at its core, he would probably try to stay as close to it as possible. So we have him, and it's not giving anything away either, because to me, it's only something to look forward to if I were a fan. So it's really not giving anything away that I wouldn't. I've had this conversation with a couple people because. So did you guys read Batman Year One, Volume 3?
Oh, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, now that obviously just came out, so that'll settle well. Now you obviously know that in the movie, it looks like his Batcave headquarters is in an abandoned train station. years ago for this series, I wrote it that the location of the Batcave, I know it was kind of played upon as someone's headquarters in Arkham too, like an abandoned train station as the Batcave, and I had that written in years ago because have you ever seen the movie Blank Man with Damon Wayans?
Oh my
Oh,
God,
wow.
yes, dude. Throwing
Dude,
it back.
I love that movie, man. And his headquarters is in an abandoned an abandoned subway station years ago. And I'm like, that's awesome! What a great idea! Like, what? How cool is that? And so I always wanted to incorporate that into a Batman thing. So that's why even in the first one, when you see in the Batcave that we had done from the late Powell, he did, you know, as good of a job as we can get done with the means we had and the budget we had. And I thought he made it look like I was happy with it. Again, as a fan, I'd be like, yeah, I know it's not Hollywood level, but it's good. It's really good, and I'll take it, you know. So you could see like a subway car in the back and some railroad tracks because that's kind of where the location is because he wants to be in the middle of it. He wants to be in the middle of the city. Again, though, this all to answer your only question before through all this rattling was if it gave me time to rethink everything, and it totally did, because I wouldn't have fleshed everything out with those scenes and what we want moving forward now. And we had a really good opportunity to kind of organize just a little better and learn from our mistakes, where had we done it immediately after, it would have still been subpar. And this time everybody involved got to take time and watch themselves and hear themselves 1,000 times, including the Jordan Bryan from England who did the music. He himself has thought of new things and has new things available to him that he would love to put into this.
And now you got the nice smoking jacket.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about a nice smoking jacket,
Yeah.
nice thing about a good smoking jacket is it makes your head look smaller.
And you know what? And the thing is, even if I'm not doing the series, I'm still going to wear that thing. And
Yeah.
when people go, what do the W stand for? I'm going to go, winner.
This is from back when I was Batman.
Yeah. Oh, you know, this was just one of the props for that time that I was Batman.
Throwing
you
it
know,
back
honestly,
to
I
I was gonna say, throwing it back to some of the cool casting, and just one of the cooler things that you did as part of like your production the first time around that was super clever was the Vicky Vale doing the live stream on location. And I can't remember if the people was it like an actual live stream that she did on Instagram Live, or was it pre-recorded? Because I thought I remember seeing like some of the comments, like the usernames and stuff. I don't know if it was like people that were following, but the usernames were like, wait, what the fuck? Like, is that a real person with that handle, or is this like what's going on? But it was so convincing.
Yeah, it was that was fun, man. That was my friend John filmed the last one, and he was, when we were talking about it in the early stages, he had said to me, you know, it'd be great. This would be a great idea. You know, if there was some sort of viral thing that was going on. I'm like, oh, it's really clever, you know. And so I asked the girl who's playing Vicky Vale, who is the gal. Girl makes her sound too young. And Alex Palmer, she's super down for the whole project the entire time. Super patient about it too, because you know, you want to get in front of actual cameras and do some real acting, and the only acting that you got to do was by holding someone's cell phone. So I get that that's not as rewarding, but honestly, it was one of the best videos that we could have put out. It was, as a fan myself too, we couldn't do that actually live because the Batman effect, you know, Batman going up in the air. But I photoshopped a bunch of different handles and you know, things like that, emojis, just put them in different orders and had them flow through the picture to look kind of semi-organic on it. But that was so cool. Like, again, me as a fan, and that scene too is supposed to tie into a scene later on in episode I guess I'm hoping 2 or 3, but I'm hoping to get it done the same day we film at the end here. And I won't give that scene away, but it's pretty cool. It's like a super classic superhero moment that I'm putting in because it's too classic not to. It's something you'd see in like a George Reeves Superman flick, but it comes right after that scene. So the idea is to have her on the phone and then turn her phone off, goes in her pocket, and she's like, then she has to go on this interview. Like she said, she's on her way for an interview with Bruce Wayne, and she just so happens to see Batman. So when you think about it, they both got to get back to that spot to not blow the interview. So it's just one of those fun moments where it's not too cheesy, but it's just cheesy enough, kind of like a Cheez-It, they're not overly cheesy. That was a Cheez-It moment. That's what we're going to call it. Sponsored by Cheez-Its. By the way, guys, I have one headphone off. I don't have a crazy lopsided head either. It's lopsided and it's big. The angles must be so terrible trying to capture this guy on camera. Totally cast somebody else.
Got to make a funny cowl for him.
He's just Bruce Wayne trying to look cool.
I bet you my cowl. I'd have to ask Keith Hernandez, who I'm sure you guys know of.
From the Mets, right?
From what?
From the Mets.
Yeah.
Spit on Kramer.
Yeah. Back into the left.
Son of a his cowls are awesome, but I bet you mine's the biggest on the shelf. It's got to be. That sounds awful if you don't know what I'm talking about.
We're just gonna that's gonna be the promo for the episode. Nothing else.
Yeah. Mine's got to be the biggest on the shelf. And if I was wearing no shorts still, tuck the shorts and tuck the leg. No, yeah, man. No, honestly, we're really excited. He's excited too, right, buddy? I had to get him in, man. You asked me a question earlier too. Who makes it? And the box is right here, but I really have to search for it. But it's a Batman Shakespeare bust, and it's a piggy bank. So, but you're never gonna. It still looks like metal. He's not gonna really be a big part of the series, but he'll be in the background to just pay tribute. I'm trying to pay tribute to as many Batmans that influenced me as possible. I've said it a bunch probably over the years in a bunch of different formats that Batman 1949, 1943 for me, the movie serials, I was truly raised on those, where I was given those at such a young age as entertainment, probably 4 years old watching this stuff because my dad enjoyed it. And I just thought these guys were the coolest, man. And I a lot of people might find them cheesy, but to me, it's just, they were really doing what they could with the means that they had in 1943, 1949 for a medium budget production. That means somebody liked this character enough where there had to be love behind that film as well. There's no probably documentation with the directors and stuff, but when you think about it, the character was so popular that a medium-sized budget, people were like, yo, we like this story enough. Let's make a show about this kind of thing, because they weren't giant conglomerate shows, companies that were going on. But the purity of those characters, as silly as they may look, it's a cloth suit, it's a cloth cowl. It's really just a man going out there and fighting crime. And to me, it's just, I love those. I love those serials. I don't know if you guys are ever into those.
Yeah, it's super. I mean, it's at the time, the earlier comics, it's literally jumping off the page of the early comics. If it's just what it would have looked like if the dude was just in the suit that he keeps in the trunk of his bed or the back of his car. But go ahead, Robin.
I was just gonna say one thing that we have not had since in the live action movies. Everyone who's read the comics for years is used to seeing at some point, Batman gets back into the cave and he pulls the cowl back and it's like a hood that's attached to the suit.
Yeah.
It's just, some kind of fabric.
Exactly.
And he just pulls it back and it hangs there like a hood. But we never get that in any of the movies, because it's always either rigid material that he pulls off or a helmet. So we never get to see that, what they did in the 30s.
It's you know what? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like they're not doing that scene in this current Batman either. They're having him take it off with Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson. It looks like they're having him take it off, because as cool as that would be to have it just flop down in the back like that, it's like, what would he possibly be putting on? Unless, actually, that might be cool. Maybe we'll try that. Like the baklavas. It's like a ski mask, but material.
Balaclava.
Oh, balaclava. Sorry,
a baklava is a dessert.
That is a delicious dessert. Grease dessert, right?
Yeah,
I love it, man. Rot your teeth and give you diarrhea.
Very bad for you, but very delicious.
That'll be the second part of the promo, guys. Use the shelf joke And now the two things we just said about me go, it'll rot your teeth and give you diarrhea. And then you go, that sounds delicious.
Biggest one on the shelf.
That's got to be the promo, man. Come on, you got to do that.
I hope no one's eating while they're listening to this.
I hope they are, man. That's the kind of people. Someone's like, honey, this brownie's delicious. Son of a bitch.
They did it to me again.
Screw their series. And I bet you at first glance, too, most people are going to think I'm not wearing a shirt at first. They're like, that guy has zero definition and no nipples. It's the weirdest Batman I've ever seen.
And he's completely hairless.
And so, it'd be like, does he have it looks like I have the Irish tan, you know what I mean? Yeah, so I love Batman. Yeah, no, the cloth cowl thing, like for me, the animated series is satisfactory enough that because to me, that's always so cinematic that just them doing it alone might as well have been live action to me. I'm sure you do as well. Animated series is just some of the best Batman content we've ever gotten because Bruce Timm and the people who worked on the show were obviously clearly fans of Batman, and the show is just as pure to the character as you're ever going to want to get.
Yeah, and Paul Dini, guys like him writing what are still the best iterations of characters like Mr. Freeze.
Oh my God, Paul Dini's so great. To me, everybody on that show has become, the show is so good that everybody involved in the show has become such a staple in the Batman years and the story that goes behind them. When you think about everything they created that has gone into other writers' material and influenced other sources and influenced stories that are now considered sources of material, because there's so much that from the show that was pulled and used in every future comic book on every level. They created people. I mean, Harley Quinn, the fact that she's become such a staple in the Batman community, she started as a character that they created. It was just, I love how that works. And that show was unbelievable because also, similarly to the Batman movie serials, I was obsessed as a kid with the Fleischer Superman cartoons. And then at the same time, only a couple years later, being introduced to Batman in that. So for me, it was honestly a smooth transition where other people, like, it's been 50 years, but me, I was like, I'm 34 now. Series came out, 92, right? So you got to figure I wasn't too old. And I at the age of 3, I was watching Fleischer cartoons. The fact that they took that real adult entertainment and my storyboard artist, Rolo, who's great. And I would love to I'm going to put the storyboards out there eventually, probably, like I said, I think on the GoFundMe as a reward and stuff, because also I think that's something I'd want to see, like storyboards, because if you saw this dude's storyboards, man, he's so legitimate. But anyway, point is that he was telling me at the time, Batman, the animated series, he brought things to my attention, which were great. When we were drawing out the intro, he's like, don't ever say the Batman, because in the animated series, it never says that. He goes, you don't need it to say the Batman. We know who he is. And I was like, what a great idea. That's why in the intro, you don't see it say Batman at any point. But he told me as well that when that show came out, it was the first cartoon of that generation really marketed towards adults, not kids. The Simpsons was comedy, and Batman came out as the serious animated series for adults. And you watch some of those early episodes, they're complete adult dramas. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you seen that they're at least Bruce Timm and I want to say, who's the other? It's Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams, Matt Reeves are getting together to do a new animated series.
Yes.
It looks like it's heavily influenced, by like the first appearance and all that.
So excited, man! When I saw that image come online, oh my God! I was going to make a dirty joke that went with what I just said, but but I was amped. I mean, because it still looks like, if it's going to look like that image that we see being advertised, it's close enough. It's in the same jest as the animated series, but probably some different touches and enhancements of sorts because of the technology difference. But it feels like It's going to be taken very serious. I mean, it's going to be great. It's got to be. I don't expect anything but greatness out of this series.
Yeah, and he looks like he's wearing a first appearance cowl.
Yeah, man. I'm a huge fan of that cowl. You know, there were people that hated that about the last cowl we were going to use because I put that displayed out there at first, and the only reason we didn't use it and it changed even plans with that is because it fit weird, and that was my fault. I didn't do a proper job measuring my giant face and skull to give to Keith, and so this time, but still, it's pays tribute to the first appearance because I just love that cowl. I feel like we don't really get that cowl. I do love Keaton's cowl. Affleck's cowl is pretty cool. I think there are parts of it, you know, I like personally. I'm a longer ear kind of guy. I don't, or like medium ear. It doesn't have to be crazy long because that would be inconvenient if you're trying to do stuff. And so would semi-tall ears, I guess. But nonetheless, for me, it's a better look. I want something that causes fear. And if you see the creepier the shadow, the creepier this person's going to look at night. So that's how I look at it, and give us time to do that. First appearance, the fact that they're doing that on an animated series, again, I think they saw what they did and they realized, okay, well, I love that, but this is, I think, what fans would want. Because when I saw that, only thing I kept thinking was, don't be a lie. Don't be a lie. Don't change your minds. Keep the ears like that. They probably put that image out there to see how people would respond to the idea of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think at least, I mean, everyone amongst us was pumped to see that and super excited to see it. But something that it reminded me, we talked to Kevin Altieri, who directed some of the best episodes of the animated series, and he was talking about how, like, I mean, the dudes were all fans themselves when they were making this, and like they were like breaking ground. And they'd, never been done before, animated series of Batman on television, the way that they were doing it, not so much like the stuff before. And one thing that he wanted to make sure to do, or that they made sure to do, was he storyboarded like the episode of The Mechanic where Batman discovered, like, they show you who his mechanic is.
I love that. One of my favorite episodes. Oh,
and they show you the first Batmobile that he has before that one, and it's like the comic, like Dick Sprang looking with the fucking thing on the front, the
so
face
cool,
on the
man.
front. Yeah.
Come on.
So like I'm thinking
So
like,
cool.
oh my god, if they do it like that, like if they make it like it's gonna have an animated series feel, but first appearance visuals, like holy shit, like that would be so sick.
Oh, dude, that's one of my favorite episodes ever, dude. I love that. I love seeing that in comics in general and stuff. I never get tired of seeing that. If you write it and you do it well, that just those kinds of things like that. I mean, that is such a cool episode. Oh God, I'm gonna go home and watch that later. I swear to God, I'm gonna go home and watch it later. I love because Putt breaks down kind of deal, and wasn't that character? Is that the only episode they had that character in?
I think. I mean, the whole episode is pretty much that, but I don't remember if they call back to it. But from what I remember, there wasn't many, if any more.
Yeah, because I didn't think so. I was like, but in my head, I guess that I wonder if that was Lucius Fox before that character or after that character. Like, was he already invented?
I think that.
Yeah,
that was
Lucius had been invented in the comics like decades ago. Way back.
Okay.
I think that was a character specifically for the show.
Got it. Yeah, because I was just gonna say, I feel like there's parallels that could have with the character. Like I think they kind of did that in Earth One, which I loved. I loved that scene of we're kind of taking. I got some inspirations from that scene too as a writer. It made me think of, okay, we won't do it like this, but that's a decent way for an introduction. I feel like it had parallels to Batman Begins a little bit, but not so much. Where he's just like, I just need this fixed. You know what I mean? And with it, remember that with his. The grapple gun, just freaking. They did a great job. They really did. I thought as a whole, I'd like to see that series continue. To be honest, Earth One, I think it's great.
Have you ever? Two things that I think would be right up your alley. Have you ever read Batman White Knight?
Oh, I love White Knight.
Yeah,
man.
I was going to touch on that too when we were talking about the Batmobiles, because Sean does a couple scenes through those where you see, the Batmobile full of all the different cars.
Absolutely. Oh my God, that's a great. The outfit for that series is sick. So cool, man.
Yeah, the high collar is something really cool.
I said I'm an Elvis fan, bro. I'm a big high collar guy.
There you go.
So it was super cool, man. He just looks badass. I mean, the thigh high boots. At first, it's a little weird, but you're like, I guess it works. You know, you do you, man. But no, that's serious.
If he's walking in deep water, you know.
Yeah, bro, going through the surf, killer croc. He's like, aren't you glad I brought my waders? But no, they're awesome. Yeah, it's funny, the high collar and the Elvis thing. Actually, it's funny. I was telling this story on I did another podcast to talk about this, and The Fire Rises, and we were talking about how there's a character. Now, do you know the character Zeiss in the Batman comic books? Have you ever seen that before?
Maxie?
It was I don't know. It was in it was Ed Brubaker and Scott McDaniel. They did a bunch. They did a giant series of comics together, and
yeah, his last name is Zeiss, right?
Yeah. I don't know if he had a first name. I don't know if they ever. I don't know if they gave him one, but they just called him Zeiss. And I remember I hadn't picked up a Batman comic book in, I don't know, 10 years, and I was in what is now gone. It was a Genovese grocery store that would have a spindle of comics, and I picked up a comic, and I'm flipping through it, and then there's a cool image of Batman that I was like, all right, this is cool, I'll read this. And I enough to go back and get the next issue. I open up the next issue on the spindle, and I just flip through, which I shouldn't do. That's super rude. It's not a library. But and I'm going at the end, the Penguin says on the phone, he refers to the guy as Zeiss, and in that comic book, the guy had Elvis hair and a high collar, and his name was Zeiss. I'm like, that's it. I'm officially back. I can't leave now. This is just getting good, baby.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to ask you about is, have you ever read the draft script and seen the the mock-up art for designs for the Darren Aronofsky, Frank Miller Year One?
Oh man, what a shame! They should make that. They should make
animated.
That and animated. Absolutely. Like, that's one of those things, like, we have the technology. Like, why not? Why not, man? Or give us that story in when I say even animated, even have the people who did the Arkham trailers, have them whip us up a little Batman series. You know what I mean? You know how many people would watch that damn thing? I mean, I'm sure the budget on that would be absurd, but that would be so cool, because I didn't read all of it, but I've seen the images more than once, and his imagery that he had, those costumes would have looked sick on screen because they were still super dramatic, but in all the right ways. It paid tribute to your first appearance of Batman. Most of the time, they looked like very bat-like ears. It looked like a majority of cloth suit, just a regular suit. You know, there was no strong muscle textures. That would have been great.
Yeah,
that's a shame.
And you know, what they did actually. Well, he did. What was that movie? Oh, he did that movie Noah. Like, he did it. I was like 10 years ago, maybe more. But he did that movie with Russell Crowe, Noah, and they actually took his initial draft that he did, because he had a first draft of the script that first drafts obviously never make it. They get tweaked like crazy. But I guess his initial draft was pretty close to what they ended up filming. But you know, you got to cut so much out, cut and change. But what they did was they took his director's cut initial draft and they made a graphic novel out of it.
Okay.
And the graphic novel is fucking awesome. Like,
I would be totally cool with. Imagine turn that into a graphic novel. Why not?
Dude,
like DC, man, get on this. This has to spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
This is now something I need to see. The script is available. The guys are out there. They're making Batman 89, which I am so psyched about. Dude, once I saw that was coming out, I mean, good thing this shirt is flesh colored, because these nipples are hard. You know what I mean? I put that in the trailer for this too.
So what I love about that story about 89, Joe Quinones, who originally pitched it years ago, like maybe like 6 years ago or so. Obviously, for whatever reason, they turned him down at the time. He had a different writer. He pitched it as his idea, but he had like a friend or whoever was going to write it. And then when they just recently announced it as they were going to do it, they got Sam Hamm to write it. So the original screenwriter for Batman and for Batman Returns, writing the stories for his art for Batman 89. It's like, oh, dude, it's like,
shit.
and so I mean, Sam Hamm had all the ideas of all the initial stuff that didn't make it to Batman Returns that were supposed to be in Batman Triumphant, you know, Billy D. Williams,
Man.
all that stuff. Like, he has that's all in here, and he never got to do it, and now he's going to get to do it in the comics.
How cool is the fact that we get to see this story unfold? You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the things. Like, that's why the same reasons, and I'm not comparing them by any means, just on a level of why I had to see the story continue, because me as a fan can make this story continue. But once Batman 89, you're like, someone's finishing that story. Yes, like, I need to see where this would have went, because I know some people, and I get it too, are big fans of the Schumacher movies, and I don't even attach them, kind of. I don't see it as a continuation at all to Batman Returns. I see Batman Returns and Batman and Robin. I'm sorry, Batman Forever and Batman and Robin as sequels to each other.
Right.
You know, I don't speak, and that, you know, that's obviously because of Chris O'Donnell, who makes the transition from movie to movie. But otherwise, the first two, I mean, that I know that I feel like most of a current comic generation who really love Batman, I don't think anybody as a fan thinks those movies are too dark. I don't really truly. I mean, I feel like if you're going into Batman expecting, I don't want to say more comic friendly things, but I guess, yeah, if you're going into it hoping there's going to be more color and, you know, Batman 66 vibes, which is then what Batman Forever and Batman Robin gave you. It gave you a little bit more color. So I feel like we were lucky to see both of those, but I think we're only gonna. I don't think nobody's ever gonna make a Batman Forever, Batman and Robin comic book series. You know?
Yeah,
I don't know. If this makes enough money,
I feel like. You think so? I feel like. I don't know. I mean, I guess so. I guess anything could happen. You actually think someone's gonna make a George Clooney comic book though?
Dude, I've made the argument before that, and I'll make it till I die until they do it, and they won't ever, but someone might. I think if you took Clooney today and made him like a grizzled, like older Batman with a different script, different director, and made him like, you know, Dark Knight Returns more like, I mean, you know, Affleck killed it, but if Clooney fucking got jacked as fuck, like I could see Clooney doing
1,000,000%. You know? Yeah. Oh yeah, that'd be great. I would love to see that. I would love to see. I just don't at the time. I don't think he was Batman at the time.
No,
but I also think even if there were people that wanted to do it, he wouldn't do it because it would take a director saying what you just said though to probably make him understand why he'd be better at it now. But because he would definitely. But I don't. That's not a role I don't think he'd do. And Affleck, to me, you know, when people say, you see so many people like, no, he sucked. Who? Why? Have you ever, like, how much of Batman do you know? The guy was great. The guy was the embodiment of Batman and Bruce Wayne. I mean, he killed it. You have to, like, trust me, he wasn't going to do that role if he wasn't going to kill it because he got so much flack for Daredevil that unless he's going to come in and nail this role, there's no reason to play it. And I thought it was badass. And you know what only hit me the other day? Because I wanted to do it in the series, and I still might maybe, but the moment, you know, in the when we're seeing Batman and Robin, the intro scene where he has the one barbell over his head, the weights over his head, and, you know, the first appearance. And it only occurred to me the other day that they did that with Affleck. I was like, I didn't even hit me. I was like, he for a moment he was doing this, and it only hit me. And I'm like, oh man, that's totally cool. So I was like, well, I'll still do it. I just didn't do it first. But no, I thought, dude, he was great between Snyder's vision, and I really wish they had made like a couple little solo movies, but even a mini series with him. I mean, a mini series with him.
Yeah, give us something on HBO Max.
Oh my god! Oh, dude, that would be such a smash hit. Like, I know he had so much going on in his life, and didn't want to really kind of be part of it anymore. I guess I had heard that some of the feedback was just too much also between that and what Hollywood was doing. But I feel like he should know that such fans and such purists truly love what he did because he portrayed that role so well. It's like, bro, do a mini series of just you kicking ass. like he was the belt. Dude, the scenes with him, that warehouse scene is one of the best things I've ever seen on TV.
Yeah, we had Rich Citrone on last month. He was Ben's stunt. Well, he's been Ben's stuntman in everything for years, but he was the guy doing all that Batman fighting.
Dude, I mean, there's a couple moments you could see it's him, not Ben. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he gets like a couple seconds screen time. My mouth. You know, but
he's got nicer teeth than Ben.
and there was so much potential. There was so much potential too, because Ben and Jeff Johns wrote that script for a solo Batman film, and Jay Oliva, who was running the DC animated movies for years, got to read that script, and he said it's the best Batman script he's ever read. And he reads all the scripts.
What a shame, man. What a damn shame. Because that means that Ben cared enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To put the fact that he was, that means that they cared enough. There was love going into this, man. That's definitely what happened. It took the love out of it for him. It wasn't fun anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the dude's an Oscar winner. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say what you will about his acting. I mean, that could be debated. You cannot talk shit on that guy's fucking story writing. Like, The Town, Argo.
Town is awesome.
Yeah, man. Like, the guy knows how to fucking write. Like, he knows how to write. He knows how to make a good story. And
I think he's a good actor, especially for something like Batman. I feel like that's probably one of the easier roles he's probably had to play. I mean, that's not to insult Batman. I just mean because he can take it easy and make it look like he's doing a lot. You know what I'm saying? He's a very Clint Eastwoody, quiet Batman. It's more expression than it is words, which is kind of what Batman should be.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way of describing it. And I think that's exactly what that's what his approach was, and that's why he was so good at it, is he understood that, or at least was, he read into that. And like you said, like, that's because he's a fan of the character and he knows what that character requires and what that character needs to leave back, and it's funny because, like, I don't know why that just gave me a flashback back to the series. I mean, good segue back, but like, you were talking about the robe, and it's funny because, like, I think about the robe and how, like, Batman or Bruce Wayne, but really, he might not know it yet because he hasn't awoken to who he is, but like, Bruce/Batman is wearing his father's robe, but he is so much at the time so conflicted about who he is. He doesn't want to be his family's history. He doesn't want to be a Wayne. That's not who he is anymore. He knows that part of him died with his parents, but he's surrounded by this facade of an identity that he has to keep up appearances for, and out of loyalty to his family, he has to keep that going. So he's wearing this robe that's not his, like, fucking fake skin. But then while he's wearing that robe, he learns who he really is and who he's supposed to be. And then at the same time, while he's wearing the robe, understands, like, I have to be a version of this. Even if it's not who I am anymore, I have to continue wearing this and be this. I don't know why, thinking about Affleck and knowing, like, the character, he probably understands that. And that's why he was able to portray, so much of him is like Affleck put so much into that fucked up version of Batman, like, so that weighty, soul-destructed Batman, that it's like,
they were going to get that with Pattinson too. They were going to get that same thing.
I think, dude, I mean, if we've also talked about this too, like, whoever has not watched the last two Planet of the Apes movies, you can watch the first one, but he didn't direct that one. But if you watch the last two that he did, specifically, I want to say the first one, I think it's part 2, before he did the part 3. Dude, the guy made me cry about fucking apes. Like, the movies about chimpanzees, and I'm sitting there like, like my heart is hurting. And I'm like, oh my God.
That's what makes it hurt worse, man. Dude, why wouldn't? Of course you wouldn't. I mean, I'm sure you cry when a regular animal dies in a movie, because I sure do. Like when an animal that doesn't have personification.
Right.
What does he say? I forget what he says. Like he screams no first, but doesn't he say like one word to the guy? Oh my God, I haven't seen him in so long. But I feel like what's the main chimp's name?
Caesar.
Yeah.
Caesar. Oh, doesn't he scream his own name?
I don't know, dude.
No?
That's not a movie. That's not a movie I can watch over and over again, because it's like it's good, but it's like, man, I'm gonna have to
take a day off work.
I gotta have my tissue boxes. I gotta have my comfy chair. I don't want anybody else around me that day.
You guys brought up before when you said what you bring up Russell Crowe? What movie? Oh, Noah. I always I would have enjoyed, I think, seeing him as Batman at one point, like a different kind of Batman. Because I mean, he was badass for a while, bro.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Gladiator.
Dude, come on, all day.
He's always badass. Have you seen him in his older years when he just let himself go and he's like, "Fuck you"?
yeah.
He's fucking
different kind of
Jor-El.
badass though. Yeah. The last badass thing I saw him in that I was like, absolutely, was The Nice Guys with Ryan Reynolds. You see that?
Oh my God, that movie!
So good, man.
Fucking amazing movie, dude.
Right?
So
great
good.
Movie. I love that movie, dude.
Like those, and I love that. Like he goes all in that movie, and that's when you know, okay, that's a great actor. One that fucking commits to not just like he commits to comedy.
I was just gonna say that. It was so funny, dude. He was funny as hell.
Fuck, that movie's great, dude.
You know, one of my favorite lines that he says in the movie, just the way he says it is great, and it's not something given away. After, remember they're at that party and and Ryan Gosling falls down the hill and whatever finds the body and they're carrying it and he goes, "Did you fall in the pool? You fell in the pool." just the way he says to him, "Did you fall in the pool?" Oh my God! Or you were in the pool? Oh my God, dude! His actions and his expressions are hysterical.
Like, and they're like dragging up a dead body up a fucking hill, like while there's like there's like a coke party going on.
Yeah, dude. It was. I mean, you know what? It was a modern Abbott and Costello buddy cop movie, is what it was. You know, they even attributed to that with Ryan Gosling. Like,
yeah,
it was, dude. That movie is so damn good. Anyway, but my point was that I think Russell Crowe at one point in his life, when you brought up the George Clooney thing, I was just like, I feel like at the time, had Russell Crowe, they could have done some sort of incarnation of Batman.
Oh yeah, like he was fucking Jor-El in Man of Steel, and he crushed it as Jor-El.
So
like,
who expected that kind of? Like, dude, I wanted to see a movie about that guy.
Dude, a prequel Man of Steel, yeah, like just Russell Crowe as Jor-El on Krypton. Dude, there's the I think it was the second Man of Steel teaser or TV spot where they're showing that battle scene at the beginning and it's panning across and it's just him like on a cliff with the battle scene unfolding in front of him. And all it is those like single note piano keys playing over it. Oh, fuck, dude.
It's just so bad. He was, dude, him as Jor-El, like, which was great though, because in a movie not about this guy, they make you enjoy what you're watching so thoroughly. You know, he made it so entertaining. It didn't matter what character. We were still seeing that heroism on screen, and I mean he's such a badass character. Did you see his Robin Hood also? Because it's a pretty much Gladiator, but just slightly different. But it's still enjoyable because he went from like in shape dude to just like brolic beast, okay, athletic guy who was gonna kick your ass. Mm-hmm. I mean, in The Nice Guys, you're like, I never want to get punched in the face by this guy. Never. Like, please.
Yeah. It's a shame that the Tom Cruise Universal Monsters franchise universe flopped with, what was it? He did The Mummy, because he was supposed to get his own Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde spinoff for that, and obviously because The Mummy like just didn't make shit at the box office, they just scrapped the whole universe. But that was cool, man. I would have wanted to see that kind of happen, even if, you know, I mean, it's Hollywood, so they wouldn't, but you want to give them another shot, like, just to see where it goes.
You know what I would have? I'm playing this role, well, not acting wise, but visually wise. I feel like I would have liked Brendan Fraser in his prime. You know what I mean? When he was like Mummy, Brendan Fraser, Mummy 1, not when he's being goofy, when he's serious, he could have played Batman because he was the good-looking playboy kind of character. Like when you see other things, like moments of what's the devil one that he does? Oh my goodness, with Elizabeth Hurley. Anyway, Bedazzled.
Bedazzled,
yeah. In Bedazzled, he has those moments where he's that playboy kind of character, you know, entertaining people in this thing. And I always just thought that would have been cool too when he was in his prime. He could have done it. Remember, he got super ripped for George of the Jungle.
Yeah, but he's another guy that is doing great in his later years too. Have you seen him in Doom Patrol?
I have. He's awesome,
he's so good.
Resurgence,
Cliff.
yeah.
He's such a. I've seen interviews. He seems like such a nice, just gentle soul, man. Like, yeah, what a good dude. He seems like he genuinely cares about that, and he enjoys Doom Patrol and stuff. But yeah, it's got to be a blast to film.
Dude, he was Hollywood executives torpedoed his career on purpose.
I heard.
Yeah, dude, fucked up, man.
So screwed up, dude. I seen a couple podcasts that I watched, a couple interviews with him talking about it, and I feel terrible because he seems genuinely sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
About it. Like, and I get it, man. Why wouldn't you be? But like, that's what makes it so awful. Is like, it clearly affected this guy in a big way. And who could? How do you blame him? Of course it did.
Yeah, I mean, he was. He was like the action not comedy. He was the action dude. Like the Mummy movies were fucking massive, and he was the dude. And just people decided that they didn't want him to be, and that's really fucked up.
And it's so messed up, you know. Yeah, man. Because you're talking about a guy. He was at the top. He was such a household name. I mean, everybody knows Brendan Fraser. I don't, you know, that's that. I don't think that's an exaggeration either, because, you know, you look at the box office hits that came out, and when you look at how many of them were hit after hit after hit, even when they weren't good, they were hits, you know. I feel like he did, because it was like Bedazzled, George of the Jungle, you said The Mummy.
How have we not talked about Airheads?
Airheads, yeah. That was before his before his claim to, you know, climb. But
Steve Buscemi. That fucking movie is great,
Adam
dude.
Sandler,
Blast from the Past, though, what you just said is so cool.
Dude. That movie, phenomenal movie. But
you talking about Blast from the Past?
Oh yeah, Christopher Walken. Him. Is it Alicia Silverstone in that?
Is that who it is? I was trying to remember who the girl was.
Oh my God, Batgirl. Cher.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Look, full circle, man. No, that movie's great. What a cool, and he played it so well, man. Like, I love when he, like, where he's snapping in the car to Perry Como, and he's like, "Here it is," and he's back in. And the underground. I guess, you know, we must have a love for underground bunkers, because Batman has one. They had one in Blast from the Past, super decked out with everything you needed.
Yeah, it was so dope.
Air.
Yeah, man, good shit. Yeah, dude.
So, anyway, you alluded to it earlier, but let's talk a little bit more about it. You do have a GoFundMe that's on the go for.
You sounded like Mario real fast. You
do
have
me.
a GoFundMe. We have the GoFundMe. You know, it's one of those things. Like, any little bit really helps for something like this, because people, I think, misunderstand and assume that we have some sort of actual production giant company. I mean, essentially, it's an unumbrelled production. Clearly, that's going to be the name of my company, an unumbrelled production, because
Unumbrella Corporation, the opposite of Umbrella Corporation.
Not
evil at all.
Get ready. You're going to see that in the beginning of episode 2. It's going to say an unumbrelled production. 100%. So
like a penguin style umbrella.
Yes. But it really is, because it like I said, the reason for the GoFundMe is we're just people making something that we know we love and that other people are going to love too. It's coming from such a place of passion, where if other people with the same passion want to see something like this, you know, that's what we're trying to do. Where similarly to something like, you know, any of the Batman things that are coming out, they're being made to entertain you. And that's the same reason we're doing it, except we don't have some giant company swooping in to help us tell our story. But the story that we're going to tell is so similar. I'm sorry, let me take that back. On such a similar platform as the idea behind Netflix Daredevil. When I watched that show, which I'm rewatching right now just because it's so damn good for me, aside from, because I'm not necessarily a fan, but they go into some more dark magic worlds kind of things. I would stay clear of that and cosmic stuff. I prefer when it's just real world, street level crime. But when I saw those like season 1 and 2 for the most part is so cool in that way, where it shows you that street level crime, where I thought if this was a Batman series, I would love this. So for me as a fan, that's something I would want to see. And because I don't have the means to tell a major studio, hey, here's my pitch for Batman, and I'm telling you this would work, let me just try to make it. And if fans can get behind the GoFundMe and help as a fan for fans, like just tell a story that we'll all be entertained by, because it doesn't take crazy amounts of money to make it at the level that we're making it at. When you make it at these giant levels, you have, of course, more availability, more your time is bought in a much better way by these millions and millions of dollars. At our level, it's like, hey, if we can get it done for the smallest amount as possible and make it look great, let's do that, because it would be awesome.
It's funny. I was thinking about this today, but when I was a kid, I went to this little elementary school, and we played like flag football, and our coaches, specifically, I remember, I don't know why he came into my head, but he did. And I was thinking about this one coach that I had. I'm like, man, he was so passionate. Like, he was a great coach. He was just the dad of like two of the kids that I went to school with, and he was just like the football coach for like 5 years going. And I remember in my head, I'm like, dude, he was there every day, like coaching us, so passionate. He thought about plays, he thought about all this stuff. And I started thinking, I'm like, oh my God, he didn't get paid. He was literally just fucking volunteering his time. Like, that was a guy that just like knew that he wasn't getting paid. Like, he just because he loved doing it, and because he was passionate about it, and he was really fucking good at it because he was passionate about it. It just blew me away. I was like, oh my God, that guy didn't get paid a cent. He was just donating his time. And that's why like the fan stuff like this is cool, because like really like Hollywood unfortunately does things because they want to get paid at the end. It's a product. They want to sell a product, and they know that if they can interest fans to buy the product, they'll sell the product. But what's cool about the fan stuff is there is no, at the end of the day, you're doing it because you have this idea that's festering in your brain, that's putting pressure on you, and it just wants to get out. And so that's what you're doing, is I got to get this fucking idea out of my head or it's going to kill me. And that's why you're doing it the way you do it. And so,
that's a great way to explain it. That really is.
Yeah. And you've had this thing stuck in your fucking brain for years now, because, you had to put it on pause, and then COVID happened. And so funny?
So I'm going to scan it at some point and put it online, because it's so funny. Remember I said before I had written a story in high school called Gotham Horror. And this is before Gotham came out. And I made the crappiest, like, primitive sketch on my computer of what I wanted the costume to look like, because it was the best way I could illustrate to somebody with better means. And I was going through the attic the other day, and I just found it. Whoa. And ironically, it matches the costume that we have for the series. Like,
oh, shit.
I swear to you. And I literally, so without even thinking about that, my brain went to the same place of this is what the costume should look like, just on a much better level, of course. And it was just so funny. So I should scan that. And
who made that suit?
So the suit that we have two suits.
Mm-hmm.
We have one made by Unmasked Studios. They are making episode 2. That's the first costume you're gonna see. But we have another costume by Napier Inc. And I'm sure you've seen.
Did you say Napier?
Napier, yeah.
That's their name of the company?
Of course. He named it that on purpose.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's and they make Batman suits for a lot of cosplayers, but they make them at such high levels, and Unmasked does as well. Both of them do. But I thought it would be cool to have two different suits visually available in a scene, to show that he's not just singly prepared. It'd be cool to see another suit in the background that's equally awesome, but definitely a different suit. So, and luckily both of them provided it to us at no cost.
Whoa.
Because they wanted, they're part of the project. They loved the project enough where both of them were like, okay, we would love to see this continue. I hope they don't sue me for that. I hope I'm allowed to say that publicly. Imagine they're like, I have 20,000 messages right now, from people asking for suits, kids in high school. God damn, that's it. Now you're not. No. But yeah, no, they both of them are just incredible at what they do, and we're trying to figure out, working with Unmasked, we're trying to go back and forth, figuring out certain little bits that I've had in my head for the vision the whole time. Like, we're trying to reach common ground on what's doable and what's, we're still kind of coming up with the final design for what the suit is going to be, in patterns. But we know visually overall, it's really awesome. And the cowl, like I said, Keith and I have been going back and forth for about a year of tweaks and things of that. I feel so bad too when I message him. I feel like I have such a visual on what I want it to look like, that going back and forth with me is probably torturous. But I just have a very cool just vision in my head of what Batman should look like in certain scenarios. I think that our Batman would also have multiple cowls. Close but semi-different designs if we could. The former cowl that we had that again didn't fit because of me. I measured it wrong, and any pictures of reference that I gave Keith at the time, which was ridiculously stupid on my part. I had a thicker beard, and he had no way of knowing how much of that was hair and how much was chin. So, but a lot of people hated the fact that it looked like Wolverine, but that to me is what I like, because one of the first things that even drew me to Wolverine as a kid was his cowl.
Yeah. And another similar thing is we always got Wolverine pulling his cowl off, and it was hanging down his back like Batman did.
I wish we got Hugh Jackman in the mask. That'd have been great.
Oh, dude, what was it? Which solo X-Men was it where there's an extended director's cut deleted scene where one of the alternate endings is it's the one from Japan, isn't it? Because what's her name gives him the briefcase on the plane,
and has the suit,
and
in
he opens it and it's the suit, and motherfucker,
like, come on, man, like, we were that close. Just give.
I'm gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. Okay, the X-Men movies, most of them for the most part were great. The suits sucked. Like, everything else was cool except
they were
for when
early
it came
2000s,
and at the time they were shying away. Like, they thought, we can't make stuff look the way it does in the comics. It's going to look goofy. So let's just put them all in black leather suits.
Yeah, I think they took Batman 89 and ran with it. They're like, okay, let's do this. Let's make it. I mean, listen, X-Men 1, I thought was awesome. From the moment you see Wolverine in a cage fight, sick as hell. And then he got massive, and it got even cooler.
That's a crazy progression, because he looks like a normal man in the first one, and by the end of his time as Wolverine, he looks like a pro wrestler.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is a funny transition because, Wolverine never looked like Hugh Jackman does in 1, because he's not bulky.
6'3".
Yeah. Man. So in order to look not so tall, you had to bulk up, which honestly still made you look tall. You just look like a tree. Like, how about Swamp Thing?
Yeah, that'd be dope. Fucking good. Well, that series that got canceled was awesome.
Yeah, did you like it?
Yeah, with Derek
dude.
Mears.
Oh, come on, man. That series was so freaking good, man. Like visually speaking, it was so dark and badass. Shame on those sons of bitches for canceling that thing. Because that was a great show. It just needed a different outlet.
What an awesome opportunity too for like a monster guy, like a monster dude actor who's fucking Swamp Thing on a major series, and
I can't think of his name either, and I feel like
it's Derek Mears.
Yeah, he was
Jason,
he was like
he did an awesome job, and he's a super nice guy.
Yeah, and he was in the Hills Have Eyes movies as one of the main fucking Hills Have Eyes people. But
is it his voice too? As Swamp Thing?
I think as Swamp Thing, because the dude that plays Alex is a different actor.
That I know, but that's his voice as Swamp Thing. Because if it is, I think it's great.
You know, I don't know, on an X-Men tangent, the second to last one that they did with Poe Dameron as Apocalypse, Age of Apocalypse, X-Men Age of Apocalypse, which I believe was either the second to last or the third to last one that they just did, but it didn't do that well. It was cluttered, but that the scenes that were kind of like the Magneto family scenes, they really should have done a Michael Fassbender Magneto solo movie, and the little vignettes that they do of him in that movie were, and even the ones in Origins where he's like in Argentina in that bar and he's tracking down the Nazis. I've watched that scene so many times on YouTube.
I feel like I never got huge into Marvel. Like I enjoyed them. I mean, I see every movie. It's just I feel like the ones I watch on repeat. So it's been a minute. I just remember him being so great as the character. He has such a presence, a physical presence as the character that adds to the character that I'm not going to say you lack with. Oh my God, who's the older gentleman who played? Magneto.
Fucking, oh my God, people are gonna get so mad at us right now.
I know.
Ian McKellen.
Oh my God.
Fucking Gandalf.
Coming in with the names saving.
Fucking Gandalf, yes.
Yep.
Fucking guy. You guys ever watch What We Do in the Shadows? Mark Hamill was on that. Great show. The Joker, man, again, that's a movie that goes. He did that role out of passion. Do you know that? Like, he did it because he loves the show.
Yeah, he does. Like, what a fucking cool guy. He does that all the time. He just like drops in on director friends projects.
When you so early in your career, you're not only Luke Skywalker, but you're also the Joker. For the rest of your life, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, you can call your shots.
Yeah.
Did you hear that he was going to do Batman Dead End?
Whoa, haven't heard that.
You see? Mm-hmm. So watch the movie Behind the Mask. Sandy Calora, you know Batman Dead End, of course.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that inspired me to even make a fan series. Was I saw that in high school. I remember sitting in the computer lab in school and watching that over and over and over again on the computer there. Because to me, to see that somebody could make a fan film, and listen, it took him a budget. I heard it at the time, it cost him $30,000 to make that.
Holy
fuck. You're talking, I mean, I forget what year that was, but I know it was early
2001.
So, 2001, $30,000 is even more than it is right now. And he got that done. And listen, I thought it was great. But point is, if you watch Behind the Mask, it's a documentary about, and it's, Sandy's in it, Sandy Calora, the guy who created the film. It's about him and his struggle with the project and the cult allure of the project. And Stallone was supposed to be Batman, and Mark Hamill was going to be the Joker in that. Like, they were both on board for the project. And then Sandy got a call from Stallone, and Stallone backed out because he was too scared because of his other affiliations and stuff. And once he pulled out, Mark Hamill pulled out. But that would have been cool as hell too. But however, I think it all worked out just fine, because truly, what would have taken away from Batman Dead End had it been Stallone and Mark Hamill would have been Sandy's vision. People would have been watching a Stallone movie and a Mark Hamill movie. You wouldn't have gotten Sandy's vision. So I think it's better that he didn't have those two. As great as that may have been, I think the guys who portrayed the characters, Batman himself, Clark, the guy who, ironically enough, isn't that funny that Batman's name, the actor's Clark, but he played Batman awesome. We never see him as Bruce Wayne, but as Batman, he had a great presence about him. His physicality was there. The opening scene that they shot, the classic, it was just right out of Dark Knight. I'm sorry, not Dark Knight, Year One, the comic book where we see his shirt roll down and stuff. But he just reposted one of my posts the other day, and I had a little fan moment, like, yes, Batman, yeah, man. But Mark Hamill, dude's a star. Sorry,
yeah, absolutely.
We went on a tangent.
We've gone on a few tangents. That's all right.
I'm a chatter, man.
No, dude,
especially about Batman.
It makes a good episode, honestly.
Probably, and then if you have boring stuff to trim out. But we went on Batman tangents, which is great though, because it shows you that to me it shows you that much more of like the love that comes out of the character.
Yeah, for sure.
It shows you how passionate a couple people can be about a character.
So, what kind of a timeline are we looking at on episode 2? Where we stand right now? What do you think?
In regards to releasing it?
Yeah, to when people can expect to see something.
I would hope, and I don't want to say it and then it not come out right, because that's the trouble. When movies do that and shows do that, they give a date and then it's kind of can get in the way. But I would love to say the winter. I know that's when supposedly right February we're getting the Batman with Robert Pattinson. I think that's right, February 22.
Yeah, they pushed it back. So who knows?
But so I don't want to piggyback that too hard. So I was hoping to do it sooner, but I'm not going to rush it. Definitely either super late this year or relatively maybe spring. But I'd like to put it out sooner. I really would. The other difficulty is wearing the bat suit in certain weather. When the buildings were filming it or for filming it outside, some scenes at night. Unfortunately, that suit is a nightmare temperature-wise.
Oh God!
So the hope is that to film that stuff during cooler weather, because let me tell you, not a cell on your body's breathing. Oh my God, it's terrible. So I need it to be winter in order to wear that damn thing.
Yeah, and how cool would it look to just be in the snow with it?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Imagine having like a cool fight in the snow and there's so much I feel like studios, that's again why we're making it. I feel like studios are missing out. There's so many stories that could be told if done right and successfully. And millions and millions of people would tune in every time.
Mm-hmm. For sure, man.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate you guys having the opportunity, even though we did go on tangents and talk about the series a bit. It showed fans too that I am passionate about it, which is nice to have this conversation so passionately. The tangents came from that same place,
Absolutely.
I really, honestly, it gave a chance to kind of talk about it and talk about what we're trying to do, at least.
Yeah, man. Plug your socials real quick. Where can people find you? Where can people keep up with what you're doing?
Well, my OnlyFans. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Show a lot of neon there.
That's the one I was hoping for.
It's just the cowl. People that aren't Batman fans are like, click. This guy's kinky as shit. No, I'm joking. Instagram, Batman the Fan Series is pretty much that's the hub of where everything's going to take place, and then Batman the Fan Series on YouTube. Although some. Check the other one out too. I've watched it, but they're trying as well, man. Good for them. There's another similar name. It was like, because ours is Batman the Fan Series. Theirs is the Batman Fan Series.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. I stumbled upon them because I think I Google searched Batman Fan Series, and that one I think I clicked on their Facebook by accident, but yeah. But yeah,
it confused me too when I first saw it. I was like, I thought it was my page too.
Come on.
But nonetheless, so yeah, YouTube and Instagram is mainly. I don't really have. There's not a ton that's worth posting on YouTube just yet. I feel like I just saved it all for the gram.
Yeah, but I mean, if people haven't caught up on the first episode, definitely go check that out on YouTube right now, and drop a like, drop a subscription, right?
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
And it'll help too, and what I could say to everybody too, it would only be better to, but like I said, visually speaking, it's going to be on an entirely different level of cinema, and
yeah,
and I don't mean, I'm not talking Hollywood giant, but I'm talking about like Daredevil style kind of vibes going on.
Before we finish, I've been fucking forgetting this whole time to give you props. Number one, taking a bold statement and risk by first introduction that we get is with I don't want to spoil it. Like, go watch the first episode if you haven't seen it yet. I won't spoil it.
Pause this if you have to.
Well, I won't spoil it on that, but you'll know what I'm talking about. The first iteration of the character that we see in the bar. The choice that you made as far as portraying that was awesome, and also the way you did it. I love. I'm sorry, I insulted you a little bit. I apologize.
Yeah.
I fucking loved it, dude. I love that shit. Because we talked about it the first time we had you on. That oneer from the subway all the way down to the bar.
Yeah.
So Scorsese.
Right.
And so that character that you're portraying, also the spin that you put on it, the way you're portraying him was different than I think. Well, number one, you got to be a Batman fan to know who it is, and number two, it's a great version of that you played with. So,
thanks, but that's one of my, again, as a fan, that was one of my favorite things to do, because the matches that we usually get to see in the comic book is
you just gave it away.
Spoilers.
Oh, well, did I say his name yet?
Yeah, I was trying to be good, but you. Well,
sorry.
Unless you're a Batman fan, you're not going to know though. So it's all
no,
good.
no. And if you're a Batman fan, I already told people to pause it, so that's on them. It gives you more reason to go watch it. But
yep.
Also, it's been up for 2 years. If you haven't watched it, I mean, shame on you guys. We were counting on you. No, I'm kidding. Matches. The one we see in the comics is always in a flashy suit with a tie and a mustache. And as great as that is, I mean, that's not the way to blend in. That's, if anything, that's standing out. So for me, I just love the character. It makes a cool concept. So to me, what they did in year one, also cool. But I wanted to play it like the animated series, and the animated series was that guy in some of them, And I think there's 2 episodes where that matches Malone, like almost that outfit, and I owned those things. I already had all that wardrobe actually, and so I'm watching the animated series. I'm like, oh shit, I have that.
Yeah.
and so that was super cool. And yeah, the De Niro thing. Well, first off, Goodfellas. That now, if you haven't seen Goodfellas,
what are you doing?
Spoilers.
Yeah. What are you doing with your life?
Yeah, but the scene where they go underneath the restaurant under the Copa and they go through the kitchen and stuff, I thought that was so awesome just to have that as a single shot. And at first, we wanted to do a drone shot, but it became too difficult given the dense area we were in. And then I thought how cool it would be to have just one steady shot come down, follow this guy out of the train, down the stairs, into the bar, and then spin off, and it's him. And we have that even in the storyboard that Rollo, such a great storyboard artist that as I'm saying ideas, he's drawing them out. And like as if it's me. Like you ever see iRobot? Like, and the passing on the bridge was you. But yeah, man. That scene to me, was it a must? No, but it was, it just adds to it. And the Scorsese, I mean, like, I'm sorry I insulted you a little bit. And then what's the other thing I put in there? What did I say? He's like, oh, what did the guy say? He's like, what'd you say your name was again? And I'm like, I didn't. That was me doing Travolta, because I feel like Travolta in he touched my head. He didn't. But just very guy from Queens, has a lot of money, wants to float that stuff around. But it's funny too, if you guys watch it, the 2 guys you see in the back like playing pool, they were just there. They were just customers of the bar, and they looked so placed because they were both dressed very informally, and it just worked as a background scene. And they were psyched about being in it too, because we talked to the bar owners like, yeah, you can film over there, that's fine, you know, just as long as you're cool with customers coming in and out. I was like, I don't give a shit. And I pay, you know, we paid them for the location a little bit, but I also didn't want to affect business. And these two guys were like, absolutely, that's badass. I'll be in the scene. What do I need to do? And I was like, you guys can act like they're playing pool. Like, absolutely. I mean, they were having a grand time with it, man. And that is super, super cool location we found in Queens. Oh, what the hell's their name? It's been so long since I've been there, but I think they swapped owners anyway. So, but nonetheless, it was just a perfect location. I scouted Queens for that spot on Google Maps for like 2 weeks.
Whoa.
Like just clicking through streets instead of driving.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have to drive. I can do this online.
Genius.
I'm glad. See, matches. It's hard to tell people that not Batman fans. Like that moment counts. Fans appreciate that moment right there.
Yeah, it's a cool Easter egg, and it's a cool reveal too. So.
Yeah, man. That I feel like it's a character we've never seen ever in live action.
Yeah, and I bet now, because we're saying we've never seen it, watch Matt Reeves do it.
Yeah, oh my God, that'll be fucking dope.
Does he listen to this? Because if he listens to this series,
but it's a tough thing, I think, to make work in live action, because you know, if you think about the origin of, so like Bruce is portraying an actual gangster named Matches Malone. That, you know, I think the story and continuity is that he forced him to leave Gotham forever. So, you know, to have that work in live action, you know, and if they're doing it in a movie, trying to make the general public believe that, you know, Bruce Wayne was able to just look exactly like this gangster guy.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I get you.
But having it the way that you did it as the intro to the character.
Yeah,
it definitely works.
Because that character, of course, needs a way in, you know, and he's not going to be it's not a taking over for anybody as much as it is everybody. I've worked in bars my whole life. There's always that guy at the bar, you know what I mean? There's always a seedy guy who is, you know, looking for just, you know, there's always that. We have the other character too, Charlie Luce, and that there's always that guy at the bar. There's always one guy with info, one guy looking for it, and then if his name gets around a little bit, and and that one was real. I'm from New York. Those moments happen, and you don't want them to. I was in a store, and I was like, hey man, you got papers? Do you? Like, who the hell is that guy? Like, sound like a douchebag, man. No, I'm glad you guys appreciate things like that. That's really cool to hear. So I appreciate you saying that.
Amen.
Those are moments that it's nice to know. Okay, fans appreciate little things like that mean stuff, you know.
For sure, dude. Well, thanks for coming on, man. It's been a blast, and once you get the second one on the way, of course, we'd love to have you back.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. I really do.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen the first one yet, it's on YouTube. Check it out, Batman the Fan Series. Check out the Instagram page, and if you like what you see, there's a link to the GoFundMe page there if you want to be able to say, I helped make episode 2 happen.
And we'll put your name at the end in the credits. Produced by...
There you go.
I mean,
Killer, man.
Sometimes, yeah, man. Well, I don't think GoFundMe has like a section where you can tell what you want. But if people are like, yes, put my name in, I think you could put that as a message me or something. Put that in a comment. Be like, yeah. Because I know some people probably be like, yeah, I'm cool with donating, but I really don't want my name on this thing.
Alan Smithy.
Thanks a lot for having me, guys. I truly appreciate the opportunity to talk about Batman. Especially, mainly talk about Batman. The bonus was getting to talk about the series too, but it's nice to just have a Batman chat once again too.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah, dude.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, Matt. Well, you have a good night, and we'll be watching for the new episode.
Thanks, guys. Be good.
All right. You too,
Thanks,
man.
man.
Take care.